Thanks for joining us as we talk a little bit about how IXL can be used for personalized learning and accelerated instruction, specifically as we talk about the House Bill 1416 ratio waiver list. IXL was released in 2007. Today, it's one of the most widely used learning products. We have had a number of Cody Awards, including the Best Math Instructional Solution for grades 9-12. That's actually our third consecutive win in the Cody Math category. We also have a number of rigorous research studies that show that students who use IXL outperform those who don't when they take standardized tests. Particularly, we have some studies that show an increase of as many as 11 percentile points in math on the STAR and 17 percentile points in ELA on the STAR among IXL users. In Texas, IXL is currently being used by about 1 out of every 4 Texas students. So a pretty heavy footprint in Texas, and in the next several minutes here, you'll get a good idea as to why. The idea behind IXL is to create one platform with endless possibilities. We really do want this to be viewed as an end-to-end teaching solution. You'll see as I go into some different components within the platform that we really have something for everyone. And with every subscription, you get access to every tool, every feature, every update that IXL has included, all come with every subscription so that you all as a district or as a campus or even as a classroom can make the decision of how best to utilize that to meet your and your students' needs. Now, because the IXL platform is so robust, I like to use this graphic to kind of drive the conversation and kind of keep us organized as we take a dive into the different parts of the platform. So the first thing we'll do is we'll take a look at the comprehensive curriculum. IXL offers pre-K through 12 math and ELA and K through 8 science and social studies, as well as high school biology and high school government. But for the sake of this conversation, we'll be talking specifically about that pre-K through 12 math curriculum. Now, the important part to remember about this curriculum is it is offered in an open access platform. So that means that even if you have a student rostered as a 4th grader, maybe they're working closer to a 2nd grade level, that's okay, because we're going to give them access to every skill we have to offer. Same thing if you've got a student that has some real strengths in certain areas and maybe they need to reach up above their grade level to continue being challenged in that area, they'll be able to always have the options they need to make sure they're moving forward. Now, I think the easiest way to really look at the curriculum is to hop into the actual IXL platform. And so that's what we're going to take a minute to do. Right now, I'm under this learning tab in math. You'll see one way we organize this is by grade level. We offer lots of different other ways to organize this as well that we'll go into in a little while. But just to get a good feel for what an IXL skill looks like, we'll jump into this 5th grade level skill of modeling decimals and fractions. Now, you'll notice that it is very clear to the student what they're supposed to do. All of our skills are designed that way. There are not a lot of distractors on the page. We really want students to get into the skill and know immediately what's being asked of them. I also want to point out that our skills are computer generated. So if a teacher wants to use this as their instruction in class and then have the students go back and work independently later, that's okay because the students will have their own variations of these problems to work on. Now, just so you kind of get a feel for this, I'll start answering some questions. You see that so far I've been correct and I've been receiving that immediate feedback to let me know that I'm answering correctly. You'll also notice that this did increase in rigor once IXL recognized that I was showing some understanding of the concept. Now, if I'm struggling, you'll also notice that I get immediate feedback, but this time it will be constructive feedback to kind of get me on the right track. So It shows me the correct answer. It shows me what I answered. And then as you go down, you'll notice it shows me a couple of different ways I could have answered correctly. And I think this really helps solidify that conceptual understanding for students. And they can say, got it, and get back to the task at hand. Now we have a number of supports built in for students, and we'll talk about those in a little while. But one of the ones I want to go ahead and mention, what IXL has done is we over the last 15 years kind of created a map of all skills and how they all connect to one another. And the result was over 10,000 rigorous skills for students to have access to. Now, since we know all the connections between the skills, we're able to offer students a recommendation at the bottom of the page if they're struggling. So if I can't figure this out, it's possible that it's because I don't understand what a decimal number is. Or maybe even though I'm in 5th grade working on a 5th grade level skill, maybe my problem was I really missed that foundational concept of what a fraction was in 3rd grade. And so I can easily identify that, roll back to it, and start spiraling up to where I want to be today. So with all 10,000 or more of those skills, IXL has really worked hard to make sure those are organized in a way that is easy for teachers and students to find the skills they need to work on. We do that through what we call IXL skill plans. I'll take a quick scroll through so you can see, of course, we have skill plans for the TEKS. We have plans for a number of textbooks. Let's just take a dive quickly and say, what if I meant to say 3rd grade, and the 3rd grade math teacher using our Eureka Math textbook, and maybe today I'm working in module 4. What IXL does is they would say, okay, here are some skills in IXL that support module 4 of the Eureka Math textbook for 3rd grade. As the teacher, since I've so quickly identified these, I can hover, look in them, and decide, okay, I want my whole class to work on these. Or maybe I have one student, Aiden, that really has struggled here, and I just want to push that out to Aiden. And so that's a possibility as well. Let's look at the TEKS skill plans quickly, and then I'll kind of show you a list of what we have to offer. But again, every license has access to all of these. So it's not an add-on to get the TEKS skill plans or anything like that. So let's say I'm the 6th grade math teacher. I know that this week I'm really focusing on 3A out of my 6th grade TEKS. And so with a quick hover, I can peek in and see what kind of questions IXL has to support the TEKS 3A. When I find the skill I really want my students to work on, I can assign it directly from here. Now, as far as what those skill plans look like, I mentioned TEKS, I mentioned textbooks, but we also have a number of test prep skill plans built in. So if you have kiddos that need to prep for the ACT or SAT or even TSI, we have those built in. We have a number of textbooks. If you happen to be using a textbook that you don't see on the list, please reach out to us and we'll help you find that, or ask our team to add that to the list. Now, the next thing I want to do is take a look at some of the ways IXL supports both teachers and students through our instructional resources and engagement tools. We'll talk teachers first. So really, we're looking primarily at classroom engagement tools here. And one of those tools is what we call IXL quizzes. It's a custom assessment tool, so teachers can use the robust IXL curriculum and pick and choose questions to add on to a quiz so that students have a pre-test or a post-test or an end of chapter exam, however teachers want to use this, they get to build out these quizzes with whatever questions they want to put on there. So you'll notice here, I built just a little weekly math quiz, and you can see exactly what questions I've chosen to include in that when I click through here. When students take one of these quizzes, teachers are going to have a lot of analytics at their fingertips to see what students are struggling with, which students are struggling the most. Is there a particular type of question maybe I didn't address well in class because most of my students missed it? And so lots of things built in there to make sure that in the moment, teachers are getting the information they need. Teachers also have access to the live classroom. This gives them a bird's eye view into what students are doing and how they're doing as they work on their IXL in live time. You'll notice here some of these boxes have turned red. That indicates to me, the teacher, that these students might be experiencing a trouble spot and might need some assistance with what they're working on. Angela, for example, is experiencing a trouble spot at adding 2 numbers up to 3 digits. And so I could either, walk over there and give Angela some help, or I could click on this box to see the exact question she's working on and identify the problem. With these little paper airplanes, I can even communicate directly to my students in live time. You do notice as well, we've always got those couple of students that are trying to keep their screen turned away from the teacher. We will notice if they are not on IXL actively practicing, and so you'll be able to identify those students as well through the live classroom. Another engagement tool just to encourage and motivate students is what we call leaderboards, just some friendly competitions where you can have students against students or classrooms against classrooms. You'll be able to set up different leaderboards to motivate students to really work on IXL. And then finally, we have what we call the IXL group jams. These have been wildly popular among teachers, particularly those looking for intervention opportunities. What they're going to do is they're going to put your students all, put your students all in one place, working on the exact same question on their own devices at the same time, so that teachers can quickly identify if students have a grasp of the concept. So the teachers would pick which students to put in the group jam together. Then they would take a look up here at the top to see who's right, who's wrong, who's not answering, what everyone's answer is, and then make the decision whether they want to do more questions that look like this or move on to another concept. I always use the analogy that these remind me of when I used small dry erase boards in my classroom where the students would hold answers over their head so we could identify who's on the right track. Group Jam allows you to do that within IXL. Now, the next thing I want to look at is the ways we support students within the IXL platform while they're learning. We want to make sure that they have all the resources they need at their fingertips, so that if they have questions or need extra help with a skill, they're able to get the information they need. So let's take a quick look here at a math skill. We'll say graphing a line from slope-intercept form. You'll notice at the top, students have the option to learn with an example. So if they want to kind of be walked through the problem in that format, that's always an option. Also, in math skills from 2nd grade through pre-cal, we have over 2,800 video tutorials. So maybe a student is struggling or needs a little reteach before they start. We have these short videos that are built into the platform, so students can watch a quick video and get an idea of how to do that skill before they begin practicing. Sometimes students do it in a little bit of a flipped classroom format. They answer a few questions, they realize they're not getting those correct, and so then they come in and watch the video later. Teachers have the option to grab the link off of these if they see a video that's particularly useful and send it out to students or drop it in a Google Classroom. So lots of flexibility there for teachers and students. Also, in most math skills from 3rd grade through geometry, we have lessons built in. These are just mini study guides, basically, to help either students or teachers or maybe even parents find the information they need to help keep students moving. You'll also notice that while these questions have been presented in English, that most math skills pre-K through geometry have optional Spanish support. So if I need to toggle that over to Spanish to support my ELLs, they'll have that button available for them. Okay, so what you've seen so far as the curriculum and the instructional resources and engagement tools really shows you some ways you can utilize IXL for instruction, for reteach, for intervention. We're going to talk now a little bit about the assessment suite. Within the IXL platform, we do have a very robust assessment so that we can identify exactly where students are and make a very much personalized plan for every student for how they should move forward. We offer what's called the real-time diagnostic. I do want to mention that our diagnostic is nationally normed, so you can rest easy that this is good, solid data that you can use and really identify where your students are and what kind of plan you need to make to get them where you want them to go. For the diagnostic, students are looking at about 45 minutes to an hour collectively to pinpoint student levels. Now, that does not have to all be done at one time. We have some that like to take 15 minutes a week and chip away at it until students are pinpointed. That is fine. We have some that like to have students sit down and do the diagnostic before they do anything else in IXL. That is also fine. What we're going to measure for math is going to be the level in 6 different strands, and then we're going to give an overall math level. This particular student is at an overall math level of about 490, so that's 90% of the way through 4th grade level content. But I want to point out that she struggles a little bit in measurement. She's at the 3rd grade level there, while she really knocks the top off in algebraic thinking around the 6th grade level. Because IXL is an open access platform, we're going to be able to give her 3rd and 4th grade level measurement concepts to work on, while we're still pushing this algebraic thinking strength of hers by giving her 6th and 7th grade level algebra content to work on. And we're going to create a personalized action plan for every student with specific next steps based on those results. And on that plan, we're going to link them directly to the exact skills they need in IXL. This action plan is never stagnant. It's going to update in real time. So when a student reaches proficiency in a skill on this plan, that skill is going to disappear off of this plan. IXL is going to continually fine-tune that plan to make sure that students always have the best path moving forward in order to maximize their growth. Now, this diagnostic is going to provide a lot of information to administrators, teachers, district level admin, because you're going to have a lot of reports to really break down how things are looking. So this is a progress and growth report that's going to show you everyone's levels. This is grade level wise, and track exactly how much each grade level is growing per month. That's going to give you good information you need to make those academic decisions moving forward, and in order to ensure that every student in every grade level are moving forward at an acceptable pace. These graphs are other things that are going to show up on your reports. These are often hoverable and clickable and filterable. So if you want to drill down into one grade level or one campus, or even filter by demographic, we're going to offer you all of those options so that you always can identify what students or how many students are above, below, or on grade level, and start planning your next steps. I also want to mention the diagnostic snapshot. This is another assessment. Rather than using it in real time where students hop in and out and just try to keep levels up to date throughout the year, as an administrative team, you all may decide that you want certain windows set up to make sure everyone is up to date. For example, as a beginning, middle, and end year assessment. Or maybe you want to do 2 in the fall semester and 2 in the spring semester. All of that is completely up to you, but if you set up those snapshot windows, then teachers and students alike will kind of get the nudge that it's time to get in there and get levels up to date, so you can pull the data you need to pull. And finally, as part of our assessment suite, we do offer a universal math screener for K through 8. That's going to allow you to quickly identify which students may be in need of intervention in as little as 20 minutes. The really good news is this information will then help feed into the diagnostic or the snapshot, so that it's not like you're testing kids multiple times on multiple ways. All of the data is feeding in together to really minimize the time students are spent being assessed and maximize the time they spend learning. before I leave the assessment suite and these personalized plans, some districts some districts use NWEA Math for their diagnostic. We are official partners with MAP, and what we can help you do is import and upload your MAP RIT scores so that we could use that to generate personalized study plans for students if you'd rather use that route. So that is certainly an option as well when you're deciding the best method for your district to move forward with personal plans for every student. So we're going to move now into analytics. There are a number of analytic reports for district admin. I've already shown you a lot of those specifically in regard to the diagnostic, but I want to take a moment and show you how teachers can utilize this or tutors can utilize this as they're working with these students for House Bill 1416. And we'll filter this down to math since we're going to specifically talk about math today. But if teachers hover over this analytics tab, they're going to see a number of different reports that are going to really help them be more efficient and effective in their classroom. I always like to say that when you start thinking about the tasks that teachers do every year, every day, not directly related to instruction. So maybe grading or grouping students or finding RTI resources or helping prep for the 1416 tutor, all of those things, we're going to try to streamline that data into these reports so that teachers have the information at their fingertips and can get back to work teaching and reteaching. So if I want to use the trouble spots report, this is a very popular one among teachers. It's going to prioritize for me. So I have 7 students. It's experiencing a trouble spot when they get to this type of question. So I can pull these 7 students in a small group and start working with them with this information. And we immediately have the resources we need to reteach. And then when they're ready, I can send the skill right back out to them, have them work independently. And then I can pull the 7 students that are struggling with theoretical probability. Or I can pull the 6 students that are struggling with outcomes of compound events. And so as far as an intervention tool or a reteach tool, this is fantastic because it's going to really help you efficiently group your students in ways that you can keep everyone moving forward. Now, obviously, there are times that students may need more than this tier 2 type of intervention. So let's take Anita, for example. Maybe we've worked together in our small group before, but Anita is still struggling. We are going to have these analytics reports for that as well, so that we can do a deep dive into, okay, what's Anita doing wrong? She's answering 1/5, or she's answering 2/10 instead of 1/5. She's answering 0.59 instead of 5900. So then our teacher instincts get to kick in quickly and say, oh, okay, we see what she's doing wrong. We can fix this quickly. As far as the analytics report, time spent, questions answered, what time they were answering the questions, who has the most trouble with a certain thing, as a class, how are we performing? All of that information can be found in one of our various analytics reports to really ensure that teachers are utilizing their data in an efficient manner. Now, the last thing I want to address is our implementation plans. When a district comes on as a customer with IXL, we partner together, we assign an account manager to you. You have all of the resources you need at your fingertips to make sure we've got a good, solid implementation plan. We also will work with you to make sure we get the right kind of PD and training for your teachers and administrators in order to ensure that we're going to implement this with fidelity and in a way that's going to help you meet your district goals. Hopefully this has given you a good quick overview of what is within IXL. This may have presented further questions, or if you'd like to discuss, what implementation might look like for your 1416 students, please don't hesitate to reach out to texas@ixl.com, and someone on our team will reach out to you and help make sure all your questions are answered. Thanks for your time and send your questions our way.